Now listen up, employees at Loomosity, because you're only getting this one warning. You've been told about what's wrong with your game of Fuse Clues, and you're not listening to what people are saying about it. People aren't going to get off of your case of that game unless you're willing to help them. This also includes you at the Albertsons and Safeway corporate company with your game of Monopoly obsession. You're only getting this warning once, so you'd better listen up. The way you distribute your game of Fuse Clues to your players is wrong. You can't make your players figure these things out on their own. There's no way that'll work even with people's 100% self-esteem. This response you give out in that game of the first two numbers establish the same rule over and over again just won't do for an answer. It doesn't describe people's needs nearly as good as an algebraic formula does. As for you at Albertsons and Safeway Corporate Company, you're not going to advertise that game of Monopoly anymore. There's another game we're going to need you to help us with, Fuse Clues, and later on in this discussion we're going to show you how to work it. You know as you play the game of Fuse Clues, it starts with an apartment building's electricity going out due to a thunderstorm, and there's some background sounds as you assemble the fuses. Those sounds are bad when people are trying to concentrate, you know. That starts in green, and as you can see what it's like going in there. Of course, the same thing works for other types of buildings too. This picture happens to be a mini mall that people go to. The power in it goes out due to some short-circuiting at Precario's Hollywood movie store in the back room with his videotape pirating scam. You can see the event as it happens in those steps of 1. Machines bursting in sparks, 2. A fire burning, 3. The fire department coming to put out the fire, and then 4. Entry into the fuse box just like you see right here. You can also do this in a big store, a school, a federal building, an airport, a military base, and need I say it, NASA's rocket launching pad. Here's a yellow background, and it relates to a power outage due to a power company breaking down. This shows that the city's lights all went out, and then it comes into clicking the place where it needs to be lit up. You can see the event as it happens in these steps of 1. Explosion on top of the nuclear smokestack, 2. The smokestack melting down, 3. The nuclear mess on the ground, 4. The power all going out in the city, and then 5. Entry into the fuse box just like you see here. You can do this with any kind of power company such as a hydro water wheel dam, wind generators, solar panels, and garbage burners. Here's a red background, and it relates to a traffic signal not functioning as a school class sees it. It shows that the other traffic signals around that intersection are working. You can see the event as it happens in these steps of 1. The class walking to the city park from their school building. 2. They notice that the traffic signal near their school isn't functioning. 3. The other traffic signals near the area are working. Then 4. Entry into the fuse box. This can be done with any kind of traffic signal you choose from too. Here's a blue background. It relates to a vehicle coming into the auto repairing center because one or some of its accessories are not working. You can see the event as it happens in these steps of 1. Driving a car into the auto repairing center with a certain accessory not working, and then 2. Entry into the fuse box. You can do this to trucks, semi or pickup, motorcycles, vans, buses, boats, train engines, airplanes, jets, submarines, aircraft carriers, and need I say it, NASA's spaceships. Now here are the steps in replacing those fuses as you see them. The first one here is a procedure on a recipe for making sugar cookies. It tells you the ingredients you need for them and how much also. That kind of equation, if answered correctly, will plug the correct fuse into the socket and give you the first clue for the sequence. Here's a picture on measuring yards and miles to meters. That kind of equation, if answered correctly, will plug the second fuse into the socket and give you the next clue for the sequence. Here's a procedure on comparing the metric measuring system to the standard measured unit system. That kind of equation, if answered correctly, will plug the third fuse into the socket and give you the next clue for the sequence. Here's a procedure on frequent trips. That kind of equation, if answered correctly, will plug the fourth fuse into the socket and give you the next clue for the sequence. Here's a procedure on pie charts. That kind of equation, if answered correctly, will add the fifth fuse into the socket and give you the next clue for the sequence. Here's a procedure on the Pythagorean theorem. That kind of equation, if answered correctly, will add the sixth fuse into the socket and give you the next clue for the sequence. Here's a procedure on square numbers. That kind of equation, if answered correctly, will the seventh fuse into the socket and give you the next clue for the sequence. Here's a unit on deciding whether or not the equation is true or false. That kind of equation, if answered correctly, will add the eighth fuse into the socket and give you the next clue for the sequence. Here's a unit on using variables in subtraction. That kind of equation, if answered correctly, will add the last fuse into the socket and give you the last clue for the sequence. This is what happens if you click the correct answer as you see it. When you click it, the fuse automatically moves from the table into the socket. This is what happens if you click the wrong answer as you see it. When you click it, it doesn't move to the socket. It turns red and then grays out. This way you'll know that that answer is wrong and you won't be able to click it again. And when all 9 of the fuses are plugged in, the submit chooser will come on and click it. And first, the electricity will circulate through the battery picture and wires. Second, the sequence will appear on the screen with its algebraic formula. Of course, as you saw the sequence and different math facts we've showed you, it's not always done this way. You can do or make the different math facts in any order you want, and it'll come out in many different sequences. This will work with all levels of mathematics, all the way from first grade addition and subtraction to college calculus, college personal finance, and college home economics. Of course, as you just saw the rainbow sequence, that's not what you'd see in any of the games. It was done like that so that you can see the steps to a building sequence clearly. The real game consists of having only one color to the background for playing the game. This game is also coming without any background sounds like the current game has. Background sounds cause problems in concentration with the math facts. The only sound that'll be heard are the electrical circuit functioning and the sound of the proper fuse going into the socket when you click the answer, and the sound of the click wrong answer along with the following graying out of that wrong selection. This picture helps you to compare the current fuse clues game with this new revised version. The blue arrows pointing upward show progress and the red arrows pointing downward show regress. This could also be shown with a line graph in the very same way. This picture shows the aftermath of relighting the stores in the mini mall and which ones you finished relighting to. The store that's lit will show you what business it is, such as Ace Hardware Store. This picture shows the aftermath of relighting the street lamps on an avenue between 2 fast streets, or the other way around, such as 13th South Avenue between 700 East Street and State Street in Salt Lake City, Utah. This picture shows the aftermath of relighting the traffic signal at an intersection at 2 cross streets, such as 6 North Avenue and 12th West Street in Salt Lake City, Utah's Rose Park neighborhood. This picture shows the aftermath of relighting the vehicle's accessories, such as the interior turn signals, because they weren't flashing when they were turned on. So here's the deal with you personnel at Loomosity headquarters. Your current game of fuse clues you cannot and will not offer to any of your players in your database. You can and will upgrade your game to all that you saw in this clip, and that's that. You will fix it to where it's playable, or else you will have that game taken away from you by the FBI as we report it and its fraud functionings. And we mean you will not have any of the advertisement of your game until it's fixed either. Since it may take you some time to get fuse clues upgraded to this new way of functioning as you just saw in this clip, you'll need to taboo the game until then. You can do it just so by advertising the game with saying, "This game is out of service until further notice." If you don't do what this clip says you need to do with fuse clues, the FBI will be notified and they'll ban you from having any use with that game. You're lucky it's just us agents at Mathematician Society Protection Association, MSPA, who are helping you fix your games and warning you of that need. If you fail us, you'll be reported to the FBI for false advertising and fraud gaming. And as for you, employees at the corporation building of Albertsons and Safeway, if you refuse to stop advertising that game of Monopoly, you will be reported to the FBI for Ponzi scheming and scheming to defraud. You know that there's legitimate games that need to be repaired, such as Here's Fuse Clues, a Loomosity game. You can and will put your favorite game of Monopoly away and help with fixing this game of Fuse Clues as you just heard about and saw in this clip. You're lucky it's just us agents at Mathematician Society Protection Association, MSPA, who are helping you fix your games and warning you of that need. If you fail us, you'll be reported to the FBI for Ponzi scheming and scheming to defraud.